Gilbert A. Meyer.
That's correct.
M-E-Y-E-R, Junior.
I don't use that, but it is.
Okay, we're not gonna put it in there then.
You can do whatever you like.
You were the fireman second class, oh, thank you. That'll help. Let's see, Gilbert, how old are you
I'll
today?
be 92 in July,
So you're 91.
more or less.
What's your date of birth? Let's put it down.
July the 19th, oh, wait a minute. July the 19th, 1923.
July
I don't know why I have to think about that. I should know.
1923. Boy, you were young then when you were.
Okay, Keith, I'm good to go.
Okay, you got your cell phone off too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hang on a second. You rolling?
Mm-hmm.
So Gilbert, let's start out with talking about, first of all, how you got into the Navy. How'd you get into this?
I was a young lad. I'd dropped out of high school, and rather than get into trouble, I joined the Navy at age 17. I had to have my parents' consent. You to get in from the 17th birthday to the 21st. And of course that happened during the war, so I didn't get out.
And where was your high school at that you?
Goose Creek. G-O-O, just like the word, Goose Creek
And that's where?
in Texas.
Goose Creek, Texas, okay.
That doesn't exist anymore. It's now Baytown.
Okay. So when did you get over to Hawaii?
We left the Bremerton Navy Yard after getting the updates and modernization that we got, and we left in September and arrived out there in the month of September. And we operated operated a couple of months as a bombing target practice before the war started, and we were in and out about twice before the war started.
So this is aboard the USS
Utah. Yeah.
What kind of ship was it? What was it like being there?
She was an ex-battleship, and they'd reclassified her in 1931, and she was a miscellaneous auxiliary ship. They renamed her hull as AG-16, and she was which was a little known fact. She was radio controlled. She was also the Fleet Gunnery School, in addition to being a target ship for airplanes to drop a couple of different types of bombs on.
So now you're over in Hawaii, and it's 1941, probably what, in the summer of 41?
It was actually in December when we came in the last time on December the 5th. I took the examination for fireman first class, made fireman first class, and then after the ship was sunk, I met the engineer officer on the Oregon. He told me, he said, "Did you know you were fireman second?" I said, "No, you gave the exam." He said, "Well, don't worry, you'll be fireman first at your next duty station." When I went aboard to Detroit, I just walked aboard to Detroit and was fireman first. I don't know what he did.
Well, you certainly got your feet wet. 2 days after your training, you're involved in the biggest battle of all time for an attack on a ship like that. What was that like?
It wasn't strange to me because I was sleeping. I had the mid-watch. We stayed up and watched the Lucky Strike hit parade, and we went to the movie, and then we went down in the fire room and drank coffee till time to go on watch. And we're talking about Admiral Nomura, the ambassador that just came over on the Clipper, China Clipper, and we thought the war would be over just in no time if it ever started. And so we weren't prepared at all. And after the mid-watch, I went down and went to sleep. I was sleeping on the starboard side, and my first woke up when the first torpedo hit, and I was so sleepy I went back to sleep for just a few seconds, and shortly after that the second one hit, and when it hit, all the lights went out, and we had to find our way topside in the dark. The ship was listing, and you had to sort of walk and actually climb because of the list of the ship. And we got topside, and then I started crawling around, because you couldn't go off the port side. There were a bunch of timbers that were falling, which would be dangerous and probably kill you. So we followed the ship around as it rolled. And chronologically, I don't know how long it took. They say 12 minutes, and it all happened very rapid. But immediately when the lights went out, there was no steam, no lights, and we followed it around. I was sitting on the bottom, and as I sat on the bottom, the Japanese started coming over strafing, and the projectiles hit the bottom of the ship and made such a racket, I knew I had to get the hell out of there. So I started sliding down. I looked up behind me, there's a big old chief warrant electrician. He weighed about 300 pounds, and I'm thinking it comes an elephant crashing down, so I had to swim like hell to get out of the way. And then we swam over to Ford Island, and when we got on Fort Island, it was a big trench, and we stayed over there and watched the sinking of the midget submarine by the Monaghan. And then in between attacks, we'd go over between the housing and see what's going on Battleship Row, and and just weathered out the attack there. The Japanese strafed, and as they strafed, they came in at an angle to the trench, and we just ducked down. It's a good place to watch the war from there. So that was it, and then that night we went aboard the Oregon.
Wow. That was,
There was one other little incident in between. I had, I think, shrapnel in my finger, and I went over to the dispensary on the other side of Fort Island to try to get something to put on it. They didn't have Band-Aids back in those days, and the nurse ran me off. She showed me guys with their arms missing, and they were all blackened from being burned, and she just really ostracized me. And later after that, I thought about it. She was right. I shouldn't have been there, and for just a little bleeding finger. But somebody gave me something, and I got it stopped, so it was okay.
when that second torpedo hit, what was going through your mind?
I knew that the ship was in peril. It was very obvious, and I knew that I should get the hell out of there. And in the eerie blackness, we had to find our way topside. And during the whole time, there was one other little incident. I just bought a new pair of shoes, and I shined them for about 3 days. We used to spit shine them and make them really shine. And somewhere in the way, I had those shoes in my hand. I was in skivvies, we call them, just undershorts. And I had my shoes, and I don't know where I lost them, but somewhere on the way topside, I parted with the shoes because I probably need 2 hands to try to climb and get my way up topside.
So you were thinking about your shoes, huh?
That's what I thought about, get my new shoes.
So what happened after that in the days that followed? When you finally realized that, it started to sink in, this was pretty bad.
Well, actually, when they came over strafing the ship, I knew that this was different. It was unique. And then in the days past, we went aboard the Oregon. When we got over there, we were down in the mess hall getting our first food that we had, and the planes from the Enterprise started coming in, and the ship started shooting at them. They believe it was from the California. They killed a guy topside. His name was John Pallas Brown, and went through the side of the ship and hit another guy in the arm. And then after that, we just had our supper. And another thing funny happened after we left. We got ready to go aboard another ship. It was such chaos. You just picked any ship in the harbor that needed your rate, and you went aboard and saluted the officer of the deck and gave them your name and rate. And if they needed you, that was your ship. And the reason for that was the Navy had depleted a lot of the ship's personnel because of new construction. So I picked a lucky ship. My next one was the Detroit. I spent the next 3 years and 9 months on her of World War II, and wound up in Tokyo Bay for the surrender ceremony. And she was a lucky ship. She never got a single hit after that. The ships that were on the side over there, the Riley and the Utah, both got torpedoes, and both torpedoes missed the Detroit. So she had the machine gun holes in her stack and in the galley. And we rode the rest of the war, and we were a lot around common causes and submarine attacks in the Aleutian Islands and in the Kuril Islands, and then Iwo Jima and Okinawa, and she's just a very lucky ship. We rode her out, and here we are.
Tell me, what did you think when you were there for the surrender? What did that mean to you?
That was the best 18 seconds of my entire life. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but also at the same time, after I saw the Japanese and how pitiful were, we almost felt sorry for them, because they thought that they were winning the war, and in fact they were losing terribly. But it was just wonderful to be there and for the ending of the war, and to avenge what happened to our shipmates and our friends and our countrymen.
Great. Michael, do you have any questions you want to know?
That was awesome. Covered it.
Kind of sitting a little over that.
Oh,
side.
I see. We should have come back over. Okay. No. Did you tell him about Jack?
Oh, no, that's coming up next.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we're good.
You mean Jack Vasson?
No, a guy named Jack Lemming.
Oh.
We'll tell you about him in a second. Well, Gilbert, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks for serving our
Let
country.
me grab this off of you real quick.
Yeah. I
Where do
forgot.
you live? Where do you live now?
I live out in the country between Lytle and Somerset, just say about 20, 30 miles southwest of San Antonio. 'Cause the rest of it they won't know. Live out in the boondocks.
How many are there of you left of the Utah?
We don't really know. We know of 6 that are alive. And I was on the internet a couple of days ago, and I found out a guy by the name of Louis Underwood passed away in January. We thought he was already dead. So obviously there may be some more out there we don't know about. You lose track of them, and they don't feel as interested in keeping in touch as we do.
Okay.
Okay?
Is it okay if I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Well, maybe we could have him just show us, I don't know how to do it on the video, where his battle stations were, or where his room was, just anything about the ship you
Battle
want to tell
station?
us. And
I
circle it
was
for me.
I was in the forward fire room.
Go ahead and circle that for me.
I'm
And,
not sure exactly where it is, but it's probably, you can go ahead and circle it, it's about right there somewhere.
Right in there.
Yeah, somewhere.
And what do they call that?
Forward fire room.
Thank you.
About the ship, right?
And that's where you were when the attack came, or?
No,
That was your
I
battle
was
station?
sleeping somewhere about here, down
That's
about
the
the 3rd deck. And that's why I'm here today. Everything happened on the other side.
Yes, sir.
You not still got that thing
I'll
running.
get that, Gilbert. Don't worry about it. All right.
Thank
We
you.
can let you out.